Welcome. Today we're looking into some really unsettling stories, all centered around bachelor parties. Nights that were supposed to be celebrations, but went horribly wrong.
Yeah, these aren't just stories about bad hangovers. We're talking about real danger, truly bizarre events, and even, well, someone vanishing completely.
Exactly. The sources cover three specific incidents. We've got one from Holland in the 80s, quite violent. Then there's a really strange one involving missing time.
And the last one is an unsolved missing person case from 2010, still open. Our goal here is to look at these accounts, see how things can spiral so fast, from party to chaos or worse.
Okay, let's dive in. First up, the Dutch ambush back in the 1980s.
Right. This involves a guy named Ronnie, the groom-to-be, described as a bit of a wild child. Apparently he had a big mouth.
And the setting is key. They'd been drinking pretty heavily all day. By midnight, the source says they were, quote, drunk as skunks, and they'd ended up in a rough part of town.
And that's the fuse, really. Ronnie, fueled by alcohol, approaches this guy, sort of gangster-looking neck tattoo, but with a weirdly described baby face.
What did Ronnie do?
He got loud, obnoxious. Apparently he insulted the guy, even pinched his cheek and told him it was time for bed. Just incredibly provocative.
Wow. Okay. How did the other guy react? Because that sounds like asking for trouble.
Well, this is the chilling part. He didn't explode. He just gave Ronnie this big, slow, sarcastic, toothy smile, didn't say a word, finished his beer, and just walked out.
That's unsettling. That lack of immediate reaction feels almost worse, doesn't it? Like it's planned.
Exactly. Screams premeditation. This wasn't some random drunk brawl waiting to happen. This guy was calculating. He took the insult, left probably to gather backup, plan an actual attack.
So the night continues. Things quiet down a bit.
Yeah, the group gets smaller. By about 3 a.m., it's just the narrator telling the story, Ronnie and their friend Eric. They're walking down the street.
And then the payback arrives.
Right on cue. A van pulls up fast, side door slides open, and there he is, babyface. But now he's got 4 friends with him. Big guys, built like tanks, the narrator says.
Armed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Baseball bats, metal poles. This wasn't just a fight. It was clearly meant to be, well, extremely violent. An ambush.
So they realized immediately they were in serious danger.
Instantly.
Yeah.
The narrator said the sight sobered them up fast. They just turned and ran, pure survival instinct kicking in.
They split up.
Yeah, they hit a fork in the road. Ronnie went right, the narrator, and Eric veered left. But they had guys chasing them, 3 of them, described as running like rabid dogs, really closing in.
Where did they end up?
They ran into a residential area, saw a fence, and just vaulted over it into someone's backyard, hiding in the dark, terrified.
And this is where it gets desperate.
Absolutely. The narrator spots a shovel lying there. He grabs it. And he actually says he was ready to use it to hit the first guy who came over that fence, prepared to kill to survive.
Yeah.
That's how absolute the threat felt.
But they didn't have to use it?
No. Suddenly, a light comes on in the house. A middle-aged woman looks out the window. She sees them, these 2 guys hiding with a shovel, clearly terrified. Then she looks out at the thugs searching just outside the fence.
What did she do?
She saved them. She shouted out to the thugs, "I saw them, they went that way," and pointed down some side road, completely misleading them.
Wow. An angel, as the narrator called her.
Pretty much. The thugs took off in the wrong direction, chasing nothing. It gave the narrator and Eric the chance they needed.
And Ronnie.
He managed to get away too, somehow slipped his pursuers earlier. So they all survived. But the narrator is clear. That was the closest he ever came to dying. A really stark example of how drunken words can lead to calculated, lethal danger.
Okay, let's shift gears completely now. From that very physical threat to something else. The mystery of the missing 3 hours.
Right, this is a different kind of terror. Not violence, but something messing with reality itself.
This narrator is also heading to a bachelor party. He just finished work around 8 p.m. and decides to walk, but the route is pretty isolated. Dark road, forest on one side, empty fields on the other.
Sets the scene, doesn't it? And about 5 minutes into this walk, he sees something. Way out in the field, maybe 200 meters off, a human shape, tall, thin, walking slowly towards the road.
Just seeing someone there would be weird enough at night.
Exactly. But then it gets stranger. He keeps walking normally, but every time he glances away, maybe checks his phone and looks back. The figure is closer, way closer, like an unnatural amount of ground covered without seeming to hurry.
So it's closing the distance impossibly fast.
Seems like it. Soon she's only 50 meters away. He described her movement as eerie, like a moth attracted to the light. Maybe the light from his phone.
And when she reaches the road, he gets a clear look.
Yes. And the description is Well, it's deeply disturbing. She was incredibly thin, skin and bones, eyes look hollow, pale. But the worst part, the detail that really sticks, was her mouth.
What about it?
It looked like it had been sewn shut, with a needle and thread. That's the specific description.
Sewn shut! That's horrifying! What happened then?
He was terrified, obviously. Looked away for just a second, maybe out of sheer shock. When he looked back, she was right behind him. Then, just as quickly, she crossed the road and vanished into the woods on the other side.
He must have run.
Oh, he sprinted. Ran the rest of the way to the bar where his friends were waiting. He figured the whole walk, even with the weird encounter, couldn't have taken more than, say, 10 minutes, maybe 15 max.
But it wasn't 10 minutes, was it?
Not even close. He gets to the bar, and his friends are visibly worried, maybe even a bit angry. It's like, where have you been? They said he'd been gone for 3 hours.
3 hours, just gone.
Vanished. He didn't believe it at first, pulled out his phone. He had proof he left work, a text sent right at 8 p.m. But the time on his phone when he arrived at the bar, 11:15 p.m.
So 3 hours and 15 minutes passed between him leaving work and arriving, but his walk, including the encounter, felt like minutes.
Exactly. He completely lost about 3 hours. And the narrator himself, in the source material, is certain that the missing time and the girl, as he puts it, were in some way connected.
So we're left wondering, was it some kind of extreme psychological break? A fugue state triggered by the terrifying sight? Or something genuinely paranormal, like a missing time event you hear about in other contexts?
The source doesn't give us an answer, just the experience. A chunk of his life just erased, which, in a way, leads us to the final account, where the missing element isn't time, but a whole person.
Right, the case of the vanished groomsmate. This one happened more recently, summer of 2010. Bachelor party for a guy named Drew. 7 guys attended, including the one who disappeared, Frank.
And Frank's personality is emphasized, described consistently as super mild-mannered, a really gentle guy, apparently never did as much as hurt a fly. Completely unremarkable in terms of aggression or causing trouble.
But the night involved a lot of drinking.
A lot. The source mentions multiple platters of shots. Consequently, everyone's memory of the later parts of the evening is described as incredibly fuzzy. This memory loss is really central to the whole thing.
Because the next morning, Frank is gone.
Yeah. Around 11 a.m., they realize Frank isn't there. His hotel bed hasn't been slept in. And crucially, nobody can clearly remember seeing him come back to the hotel, or even when they last saw him, for sure.
He was reported missing that day. And the status now?
Still a missing person. 8.5 years later, when this account was documented, just vanished. The investigation had to rely entirely on these fragmented, booze-soaked memories.
Which must make piecing things together incredibly difficult. Conflicting accounts, gaps.
Absolutely. But they did manage to pull out a few specific fragments during the police investigation. For instance, one friend remembered Frank accidentally spilling beer on some guy at the bar earlier in the night. Described the guy as angry and having stubble.
Okay, a potential point of conflict. Anything else?
Another friend, Aiden, recalled seeing a guy with stubble staring at their group intensely later on at a nightclub they went to. But, impossible to say if it was the same guy Frank spilled beer on.
And Drew, the groom, remembered something significant, too.
Yes, and potentially very important. Drew remembered seeing Frank outside the club at some point, shouting into his cell phone. He looked really agitated and distressed. When Drew went over to see if he was okay, Frank apparently turned on him, aggressively told him to get lost.
Which was totally out of character for Frank.
Completely. That aggression, that distress, it was the opposite of the mild-mannered guy everyone knew. There was one more piece. Another friend, Miguel, had a vague memory of Frank arguing with a bouncer at the club. Couldn't remember why, just that there was some kind of heated exchange.
So you have these scattered potential flashpoints, the spilled beer guy, the staring guy, the agitated phone call, the argument with the bouncer, all suggesting some kind of trouble brewing.
Right. Hints of conflict, both external and maybe internal, judging by the phone call. But the massive problem remains. Despite these recalled moments, nobody could remember the last time they saw Frank. At which point did he actually separate from the group? They just couldn't pinpoint it.
The memory loss was so severe they even wondered if something was put in their drinks.
They considered it, yeah.
Oh.
Because the level of blackout seemed extreme even for heavy drinking. It just adds another layer of uncertainty to an already tragic mystery.
So if we pull back and look at all 3 stories, what's the connecting thread here?
I think it's about how quickly control can be lost and the terrifying range of what can rush into that vacuum. You have planned, brutal violence triggered by drunken stupidity. You have reality itself seemingly bending, stealing time. And you have the complete unknown of a disappearance, where the truth is maybe hidden forever by faulty memory.
It really highlights the vulnerability that comes with that kind of celebratory excess, doesn't it? Whether it's intoxication, lowering your guard against physical threats, or maybe opening you up to, well, stranger things, or simply erasing the very clues needed to solve a tragedy.
Exactly. The loss of awareness, whether through alcohol or some other unexplained force, is the critical factor in all these accounts. And the consequences are severe near-death, lost time, a life permanently missing.
It makes you think, especially about Frank's case and the missing time story.
Well, yeah. And here's maybe a final thought for you listening. That memory loss, the fuzziness, the blackouts, they aren't just unfortunate side effects. In a way, they become shields, protecting whatever the actual awful truth might be. If those friends could remember exactly what happened to Frank, or if the guy who lost 3 hours knew precisely what caused it, would that full picture be even more terrifying than the mystery we're left with?
That's a heavy thought to end on. It really underscores the darkness that can lie just beneath the surface of what seems like a normal night out. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into these pretty disturbing accounts.
It's important to look at these narratives, I think. They remind us how fragile normalcy can be.
Indeed. We hope you found this exploration interesting, maybe even a little unsettling. Please consider liking this, sharing it if you know others interested in these kinds of stories, and subscribing to our channel, Horror Docs, for more deep dives. We'll see you next time. Stay safe.